Yo, what's going on, guys? Koi here. Today, I am joined by Grunion, the developer for the game Redeemer. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. So, today we're going to be doing an interview pretty much talking to you about what is the future of this game. So far, we've seen some sneak peeks, and I'll be playing some gameplay in the background of what they have so far while we discuss pretty much the future of this game and maybe even a roadmap to what is the what is the future for the game, pretty much the ideas and such. So, I got a couple questions for you if you're down to answer, and we'll get
Yeah.
started from there.
hmm
All right. So, how long has the project really been in works for so far?
like around a month kind of. The at the start we had like a really bad setback, so I'm not like counting it really that much, but without the setback, we've been around a month.
And from what I've seen so far, it has been a combat system in development so far with a really, really nice backdrop and I would say nice build of an area. Pretty much the world that you guys have. Now, how are y'all doing that? Like how is that being done? Is that being done over time or is that being done as soon as possible? Is the map going to be expanded and how far do you think you're going to go with it?
So the map itself is going to be pretty large. Right now, the map that I've given out to testers and stuff is just it's kind of like a smaller prototype of what we have built. Like for example, the Sakura area and like the wheat fields. Like that's not going to be that much a part of the main thing. I just had, builders make it, and then later on we're gonna move it out and like fill in the gaps from where we move it out to. But right now, at least the first continent of the map is gonna have a forest biome, like a mountainous kind of forest biome, some mountains and a cliff, uh a huge capital, almost like if you've ever watched ReZero, it's kind of based off like Lagunica a bit. Um, there's gonna be obviously the plains, and there's gonna be like some dirty areas, some cleaner areas. There's gonna be villages across. Obviously, there's gonna obviously the Sakura area and the wheat field area is gonna be in there, and there's gonna be some sand areas. But it's gonna be like content one's gonna be like a mesh of a lot of things you'd see in light fantasy, basically.
Okay. And with the pretty much the map and stuff, how is it going to be utilized within the progression for the players?
So each area of the map is planned to have like some sort of boss that like that goes along with the story. And so how progression will work is the quests like help you with like the main quest line, at least not the side quest, but the main quest line will like help you with the story and like build it up actually like a proper story. And then when you finally confront this boss is when you can finally move on to the other thing, because it's like Red Dead Redemption 2 base, like kind of how Red Dead Redemption 2 would have you like do all the quests in a certain area, but you could still technically go out to other areas.
And with this progression, is the progression going to be more freelance or is it going to be hardcore linear?
Well, there's multiple endings, so you can like so it's not like linear, but it is kind of going to be like, like the progression is following like a story, but your choices do matter in the story, kind of like I'd say like Life is Strange.
So very telltale, so to speak. Does whenever you talk about like there being multiple endings, how does this affect the player's progression and would they be able to restart from the get-go?
Like restart their saves or like restart like their what type of ending they're going for?
In I would say would they be able to have different saves or would this be able to reset from the original save or would it be like one of those things where you complete the game and then you start from that same spot and complete the game again with a different ending?
So there's multiple save slots, and basically after the main story's over, there's like if you've ever played GTA or something like that, like after you beat the main story, there's like there's like after stuff you could do. Kind of like that, just to keep like, like an MMO type feel to the game. I was planning on adding like an after story where um it's gonna be like once the main story is done and the after story comes out, that's gonna be consistently updated like an actual MMO, like how RuneSlayer constantly updates or something. kind of like that. And then, the after story, but the difference for the after story is like to make it unique is that its difficulty is going to be scaled based on how the players did during the main story. Like we're going to like try to listen to feedback from the players and decide how hard we want to make the after story on that, because the after story is supposed to be difficult. It's supposed to give you a challenge.
And with this being the case, how does this affect people who want to play together in a party, but then at the same time want to play different endings?
Um, well, if you want to play together in a party, you guys probably will have to go around the same ending because, if you're both doing the same mission at the same time, that might like skew the story a bit. But we can like we're trying to thinking of ways to like keep like a different story type thing going. Like maybe like there's multiple enemies that like throughout the thing, and then one of you has to make the choice, and it only skews that one person's thing instead of both of the persons.
So more of like an in development phase type idea so far.
Yeah.
That's chill. Uh, so whenever we talk about progression, what are going to be the main aspects of progression? Like what are going to be able to affect players in terms of obtaining gear, obtaining levels? What stats will be involved?
Alright, so as you level up, for starters, there's gonna be anim changes as you level up. Like your anims are gonna look cleaner, because when you're at level one, you're probably new to using whatever weapon you're using, and so I want you to feel like you're new to whatever weapon you're using. But when you level up, you're gonna start feeling more and more experienced with your weapon. And then as the story progresses, you're gonna get like, you can find gear through side quests. Like side quests will unlock as you go, and you can like just like look around the map, maybe, you know, get lucky. Maybe your friend helps you and, like helps you do a harder quest to get better gear. But as you progress, there's gonna be better gear with the main quest, with the side quest. There's just gonna be like a real open way to get gear, and then leveling. You get quest rewards within themselves, and then you also get like you level up normally, obviously, which gets you points to level up physical stats like vitality, endurance, uh, strength, and then the quest rewards will really be like gear or like techniques or abilities.
All right. So, whenever we talk about two things, there's two things I want to dissect here. One of them being weapon mastery. Now, whenever we talk about weapon mastery, is this going to be something that you're going to end up having to do from the get go every single time? And if you're an end game player, how would this affect your weapon mastery from the beginning if you wanted to pick up something different towards the end game because maybe you got an end game sword or something like that and you were an axe player from the beginning?
Uh, I mean, I want to keep progression kind of moved up together because it wouldn't make no sense to like, have a player who has reached the end game, already grinded their way through, have to re-grind everything just to use that end game sword, right? So it would make no sense. Um, but like, so if you were like an axe player and you switched to another weapon, it wouldn't be like that much of a difference because, I don't want because this isn't planned to be like one of those grind games where you're sitting there for like 20 hours just grinding over and over again. It's supposed to be like 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 you actually are like every action you do in the game kind of has some meaning to it. But uh so yeah, if you're leveled up, your level up experience is basically your experience with weapon mastery like all over, not just with one weapon. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so in development as well. Like that's just ideas that need developing and such.
Yeah, because there's gonna be a lot of like ideas that need to be toyed around with. There's so many possibilities that could happen that we just need to like make sure everything's set right and balanced.
Yeah, this is some of these ideas are not very uncommon. Of course, like you see with RuneScape, so to speak, where you have like physical weapon mastery versus ranged weapon mastery. They technically stay in the same category of levels, so even towards the end game. So I mean, it just depends on what you end up mastering first. I mean, I don't think that people are going to freak out about having to regrind some things, especially if you get more mastery progression, like they do in Blocks Fruits, for instance. whenever you fight end game bosses, you get much more mastery than the early game bosses. But of course, I digress. Let's go ahead and get into the other part that I want to talk about. Now, you talk about gear systems being storyline based. Now, I would like to say, which direction would you really go with that, and how much of a difference will this make in your character's pretty much mainline progression? How strong is your character going to be during certain things, and is there going to be different branches of strength that you could obtain, such as, let's say, dungeon gear versus main story gear versus, let's say, rank gear?
Uh, so wait, so you're like asking like how like different types of gears affect like how they do during the quests?
Well, I'm saying, like, in progression in general, will pretty much, like, let's say you add gear to a dungeon, a legendary set of armor in a dungeon versus a legendary set of armor you get from the end game versus a legendary set of armor you get from, let's say, ranked PvP. How would these things be changed? Like, how would they make a major difference, and would there be a major difference between them?
Yeah, there would kind of be a major difference because the armor you like the gear you get depending on where you get it is going to be kind of based on like what you did. If you got it through PvP, your gears, like a legendary PvP gear, it would probably be more tailored for PvP type combat. So if you get like legendary PvP gear, it might be more like something that would help you against other players, or like you get boosts if you kill other players compared to NPCs. And then dungeons, like if you're in a dungeon, you get certain boosts, or fighting certain enemies that come from dungeons, you have like you're stronger against them. And then main storyline would like just kind of be balanced overall. You get stronger with it. It protects you well. And then depending on where you got it, for example, if you got like a storyline quest from like the Sakura area, which is kind of more like Japanese based, you might be lighter on your feet or something because you know how Japanese clothing is a little, or at least traditional ones back in the day were like lighter. So, like, depending on where you get it, it also matches with that region, like what that region would expect out of you and its enemies in there.
All right. Is there going to be other systems in the game besides, like, PvE and PvP? Is there going to be crafting or anything like that?
Uh, yeah, there's gonna be like forging tools to make them stronger. If you've ever played Pilgrim, I'm also planning on something like that where you can like forge like your tools to have like certain perks with them. Obviously, it's gonna be a little bit harder to obtain these perks. Like you're gonna need certain materials, but there's gonna plan to be like some sort of crafting system a little bit.
All right. Uh, so overall, sorry. Whenever we talk about progression systems, now we've kind of gotten into that. Now, when the story is pretty much coming to a close, what's going to happen after? Like you said that there's going to be an expansion, but do you mean an expansion by story or an expansion by content in general?
You asking like how we're gonna go into that after story?
Yeah, because you said, it's going to be harder content, but do you mean that you're going to be expanding the story, or do you think you're going to be expanding into other things such as game modes or anything like that?
Other things in general, because I might make like a PvP mode just for people, because I know there's people who really like PvP. But to get into like the after story, like both endings will have their own story of how you even get in there. But the entire after story is basically gonna be a new map. Like it's an entirely new area for you to go out and fight your new bosses, and just like refresh everything for the players. They still keep their gear obviously and levels, but like it's just like a way for them to like have something new and fresh. And of course, there's still gonna be ways to like get back to that old world, which are still in development. But for the bad ending, for the good ending, it's kind of easy to like make up how you can get back. But for the bad ending, there are some like thoughts we gotta tinker around with.
All right. So we're talking about maybe like a WoW expansion style progression here. So my question is there going to be like level cap increases after whenever you get to that next area? Like 10 levels up, or like, how do you say, get this new gear from this area and stuff like that?
Yeah. The better the players do, since the after story is gonna be like constantly updated, the better the players do, the harder we're just gonna make it. And like we're gonna put in maybe harder bosses, like increase the level cap as we go so you can contend with certain things. Just like it's going to be constantly dynamic to how the players are playing.
Hmm. All right. Now, whenever we talk about like players and their kits, how much room are they going to be able to wiggle around with, so to speak, whenever it comes down to character builds? Are they going to be class based builds, or are they going to be what do you call it? Pretty much freelance builds where they could create whatever they want or master whatever they want, and then bring that to the end game as well.
So it's more freelance, but with these freelance builds that you're making, if you make a build that's more suited for like a knight or something, you can join like a certain class or like something in the in world to help you. Like if you have a more PvP based build, you can join like, a PvP based like class and everything. Like if you ever watch SAO like the Laughing Coffin, like something like that, but for the game. And so the builds are freelance because I want you to play as like, like anything you want to play with basically. If you want to play with meta build, go ahead. I mean, it's part of the game. But if you want to play like a well-balanced build, or you want to be a speedster, you want to be like a tank, I want it to be open like that. Having like locked classes would really struggle with that.
Of course. Now, are there any other like side content that you want to bring up while we're here?
Uh, for like side quests, I'm guessing.
No, like side content in general. Like, let's say, like you want to make it very MMO based. There's a lot of MMO content you could pretty much add, like, let's say, like achievement based items, mounts, just random stuff like that. Just throwing it out there.
Uh, Most of that might be in the after story, but maybe through the main story, I could throw some side content that you could get through achievements and whatnot. But most of the time, it's not really, honestly.
Yeah, I get you. It's not in the main peripheral of what you guys are aiming for. Now let's get into the nitty gritty. Whenever we talk about development, how fast is development going so far? And when would you expect to see the first testing phases?
Well, we already got basic combat testing out in like around a month or less, and we're planning on getting advanced combat, which is, adding sword clashing, and we're adding because we want players to see kind of like get like a taste of what like what really is the end game, which is enhanced armaments. So we're gonna have two swords that have these enhanced armaments, and how enhanced armaments work is you get two moves with them that are like insanely powerful, and then you also get a release recollection, which with that release recollection, once you activate it, um, you get one like basically ult move, or not ult move, but like a really really strong move, and as soon as you use that move, it ends your entire armament or your release recollection, since release recollections are short bursts. But the armament itself is more like, you powering up, and since I want players to have a taste of that, we're putting in two of those and then sword clashing, and that's pretty much the most for advanced combat. And then after that, we're gonna start working on like actual, not like actual, but like, we're gonna start working on like like the map's already in works. We have a builder working on the forest area right now, and then the starting village and the Sakura area. But we are moving pretty fast. Honestly, we're keeping everything. We're bug testing constantly. Just, letting premium testers try out everything and help us out, and we help them out the best we can.
All right. And so you're thinking, what is your idea for a roadmap here? Like, how far do you think it's gonna like? How long do you think it's gonna take before the main release of the game would even be?
So the main release, we're planning to do Continent 3 because there's gonna be five of them total. But we want to get three out because, five continents, that's a really long wait. We don't want y'all waiting like till you're like 26, like this is Relsey's or something. We want you to wait like early access is coming out once we finish Continent 1, and then uh Alpha is coming out when we finish Continent 2. Beta is going to be Continent 3, and then after like during beta, we're going to be working on like ports to different devices pretty much the entire time, and Continent 4. So, which is why Continent 4 is not coming on release. It's just going to be like the ports and maybe a bit of any extra content we want to add and bug fixes and everything. And then will through updates we'll add continent, 4 and 5 and just other mini things.
All right. Now, well, one thing I just kind of glossed over a little bit was probably having to do with what weapons did you have in mind whenever you actually talked about it? Because I see you wanted to do like magical skills and stuff like that, but also what are the players going to be able to get and obtain weapon wise?
Okay, so the types would be like, so there's swords, there's axes. There might be like a few really strong hammers here and there, like like those big like huge weapons you could hit somebody with. Scythes was like really like players wanted it that bad, so we're planning on adding scythes. Um, there's gonna be a few guns, but like the guns aren't like like, oh, you can use an AK-47. It's gonna be more like if you've ever played Bloodborne, like how Bloodborne kind of uses their gun system. Um, there's gonna be rapiers. What other weapons are there? Because there's like a decent chunk. Great swords, obviously. So like the basic pack, and then just rapiers, guns, and axes, and a few other weapons you could use, like miscellaneous ones.
Mm. Nothing in the ranged category, like so to speak.
Oh yeah,
Like,
range sight.
go ahead.
Uh, yeah, for like range, there's gonna be bows and arrows, crossbows, um, like obviously magic stuff, but those are some for the ranged.
All right. And of course, with a lot of this stuff, it's going to end up leading with a lot of development, a lot of time, a lot of cost. Where is it looking for the budget of the game to be, let's say, overinflated? And would like, is there a way that the game would end up having to stop development for a while if such thing happens?
With the budget, honestly, all most of our developers are working on percent because they have passion for this project. Like projects like these big ones, you'll find mostly passionate people, so it's not like budget's like a huge issue. But um, I am like I am spending money on this game though. Like just like on like some development things I need to do, growing it. I'm putting money into this game, but budget wise, I have a job IRL, so it's whatever I earn from that, and just like commissions and anything I can really make up for it.
All right, so this is pretty much like personally funded plus passion project.
Yeah.
All right. And with the development team, how big is the team? Now, I've seen a few developers so far on your Discord, but I'm just curious how big the actual full team is.
So we have, including me, we have about 3 scripters because I script too. Then we have, hold on, let me pull up actually. We have the entire development team on like a tab in the Discord server just so they can get their credit. You see. So we have 3 scripters, 2 animators is like that's the cap we're at for it. 2 modelers, 3 builders, 1 UI, 1 VFX, 1 GFX, one like 1 to 2 sound effects, and then we have obviously contributors helping us out. But dev team wise, I think we're around like 11 to 12 maybe.
That's a pretty big team for a passion project. I got to be real.
Yeah. It's like a big project, which is why I kind of need more people for the passion project, but all these guys are like working equally and putting in their work, thankfully.
That's actually really good. Uh, so pretty much we knocked out mostly everything from progression, talks of the game and stuff like that. How a player is going to be able to get into it and all that stuff. Now, the one thing I do want to talk about is just a little bit about the story, maybe. Like, maybe could we get a little taste of the story?
Oh yeah, I'm very open with the story kind of. So I grew up playing Undertale, and then I'm a huge fan of Deltarune, which you'll kind of see why that keys into here. But I played Life is Strange growing up, and all of those, and I read books. Like all of those stories ended up having like some sort of like theme, and so my stories like theme kind of like inspired. Like the story writing is kind of inspired a little bit off that, but the main theme of the story is like all of the problems humanity has had throughout their time. Like corruption has been a problem in humanity for God knows how long. Um, Desire for destruction is the hardest one in my is the biggest one in my opinion. I think like that's a part of the story more. Corruption and desire for destruction are a part of the story. Um, because in my opinion, like there's aspects of humanity that are bad, and I kind of want the game's called Redeemer because you as the player are going through the story and you're trying to redeem those qualities of humanity and prove to the gods that like humanity and life in the world that you are currently in should not be wiped and it's worth like living in. So Continent 1, which is the one that like is gonna be coming out for EA, is based around the corruption. You're trying to redeem like aspects of corruption humanity has. The first boss is based off of selfishness and because that's an aspect of corruption, like someone being selfish. And another aspect that we're planning on adding is going to be greed. People who are corrupt usually are greedy. They want more money or something. And you as the player, the story's going to lead through you exploring those themes, like different aspects of it, and also redeeming those qualities for humanity. Hopefully, if you choose the good ending.
All right. Seems definitely very fleshed out so far. I mean, you have a lot of topical content to work with, and especially a very large team to help bring this to light. Uh, I don't think I have any more questions, honestly. If there's anything you want to what do you call it, talk about here, this is you're open to speak.
I mean, I don't really got much other than just like assurance that like we value like our players, I guess. I mean, like I know people are nervous about like games falling off or they're like, this is a huge project. But I want to kind of promise that like no matter what happens, this game like me myself I will do everything I can to try to make sure that this game is consistently getting progress and will come out because I already value the people who have spent their money on this game. Like there's some like of the premium testers who put real money into this game, and I value them more than anything because they thought to themselves that this game was worth you know like spending their money on, and other people like members who thought this game was worth like putting like time out of their day to come in, look at it, be active in the community and everything. And so I value that above everything, and I want to repay them as much as I can by making sure this game comes out and meets expectations and even exceeds them. Honestly, I want this game to be like the top for them. I want them to like love and enjoy this game and like return on all the time they've invested into this game themselves.
All right. And I would say like during the EA testing, there's just one last. I know I said I didn't have any more questions, but honestly, I had one more question. Now, during the EA phase, during Continent One's early access testing, how are testers going to be selected?
There's gonna be applications out for everything because right now we have like EA testers that like they're not like EA testers, they're just people who have access to the early access gameplay because we still want people to like get in there and enjoy it. But testers themselves will be held through applications, and we will look back, see like if they're good because we want them to find these bugs and give them to us so we can come out and like fix them all. Like we want it to be as bug free as possible, or at least there's no game breaking bugs at least. And so we're gonna like go through applications, hand select. If somebody can vouch for somebody, like on the staff team, maybe they vouch like they know somebody's a good tester, then we'll look at them.
All right. Honestly, it was really really good to hear from you, man. Freaking, you have a lot of big ideas. You got a massive team that's ready to get them done. Freaking, I honestly can't wait to see what happens with this next patch with the advanced combat, of course. And yeah, honestly, thank you for doing this interview.
Yeah, of course, no problem.
All right, well that does it.